Chytridiomycosis is a fungal disease of amphibians caused by the pathogen Chytridium dendrobatidis. That disease is thought to have driven the decline or extinction of over 200 species worldwide. It may contribute to the threatened status of over 700 species. It's officially been described as the worst infectious disease of vertebrates ever recorded. Currently, we use quantitative or real-time PCR to test for BD-DNA on the skin of an amphibian. That allows us to determine whether it's infected and therefore whether it needs treatment or removal from the environment. The problem with real-time or quantitative PCR is once you've taken the swab, moved it to a specialist lab, and then run the assay, it can be days, maybe weeks before you get a result. That prevents you enacting fast responses to infections, outbreaks, or novel diseases.
The current situation with Chytrid testing is that you swab an animal, it then gets sent to a lab, and then the assay or the samples processed. Now, the whole process could be done in perhaps 2 days, but generally it's going to take longer than that.
So first you have the sample, you have to then extract it. That can take varying times depending on whether it's a swab or if it's a tissue sample. That can vary various minutes. Also then depends how many samples you're doing, so to fit in with the centrifuge, etc., you have a limited number of samples you can do at a time. Once you've done the extraction, you then have to set up a real-time PCR. That can take maybe up to an hour to get it set up if you're taking your time. And then from there you then run the PCR. That can take up to 2.5 to 2 3/4 hours depending on the process you use. With fast PCRs it can be as low as 1 hour 45. With a standard qPCR it can be about 2 3/4 hours, so it's a good half a day at least to get a batch of samples done.
We've been trialling loop-mediated amplification, or LAMP, as an alternative to quantitative PCR. The benefits of LAMP are twofold. Firstly, it requires a single, constant temperature, unlike quantitative PCR, which requires several stages of temperatures throughout, and therefore requires much more complex equipment. Secondly, the results are generated much faster. With LAMP testing, we've found positive samples from the field within 6 minutes of running the assay. With the PCR, even when you've got it to the lab, you're talking 2.5 hours before you get your result.
If you've got an animal, you want to be able to test it on the spot and say, right, is this animal infected? Now, if you can do that, then you can actually do something there and then. LAMP enables this because the way it amplifies is that it runs at a single temperature, and this reduces the actual amount of energy that's required in order to run a sample, which means that it can be run off a lithium battery. Now, if you do that, you could swab the animal, run the assay, and then get a result, all in maybe 15 minutes.
We want to get to the position where you can pick up a test kit and with minimal training take that test kit into the field and test animals there and then, enabling you to react fast to infections, outbreaks, or diseases.
So this is like a really important way of testing for animal diseases, and it shouldn't really be restricted just to Chytrid. You have to think on a broader scale. Maybe you can think about foot and mouth disease and tracking spread of that. If you can get instant results, then you can work out the disease front. Maybe you want to look at some bird diseases, psychosis, trichomoniasis. I mean, basically, it's an infinite number of tests that you could actually run using this single process.